To open Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace is to step into another world. It is a world not just of historical record, but of profound human experience. Published in its entirety in 1869, this novel has stood for over a century and a half as a monolith in the landscape of world literature. It is more than a book. It is an event. Its sheer size can be intimidating, a heavy tome filled with hundreds of characters and sprawling narratives. Yet, its reputation is built not on its length, but on its depth. It asks the biggest questions about life, history, love, and death. It remains one of the most ambitious undertakings ever attempted by a single author, a comprehensive portrait of an entire society caught in the crucible of conflict. Why would we at ReviewCat, on this day, July 28, 2025, turn our attention to such a classic? The answer is simple. Some stories are timeless because the human concerns they explore are timeless. In an age of rapid change and fleeting digital narratives, War and Peace offers a different kind of engagement. It demands patience. It rewards contemplation. It reminds us that the great dramas of history are ultimately composed of individual lives, each one a universe of hope, fear, and desire. At the heart of War and Peace are not grand historical events, but the lives of 5 aristocratic families: the Rostovs, the Bolkonskys, the Bezukovs, the Kuragins, and the Drubetskoys. The story begins in 1805 in the glittering salons of St. Petersburg, where society gossips about the looming war with Napoleon. It is here we meet our central protagonists. Pierre Bezukov is perhaps the novel's central consciousness. He is the illegitimate, awkward, and enormously wealthy heir to a great fortune. His search for meaning is the philosophical core of the book. He stumbles through society, making disastrous choices in marriage and career, yet his intentions are always pure. He wants to understand his purpose, to find a way to live a good life. In stark contrast is Prince Andrei Bolkonsky. He is handsome, intelligent, and deeply cynical. Tired of the superficiality of high society, he seeks glory and purpose on the battlefield, idolizing Napoleon. War, however, brings him only disillusionment and injury. His journey is one of loss and spiritual awakening. He finds and loses love, confronts his own mortality, and slowly learns to see the world with a more compassionate eye. And then, there is Natasha Rostova. We meet her as a vibrant, impulsive, and joyful young girl, the beating heart of the Rostov family. Her capacity for love and life is boundless. Natasha's journey is one of maturation, from youthful innocence to the deep wisdom that comes through suffering. She makes a terrible mistake, one that nearly ruins her, but she emerges from it with a profound understanding of love and forgiveness. Tolstoy uses his sprawling narrative canvas to explore some of life's most fundamental philosophical questions. Chief among them is the tension between fate and free will. Are our lives determined by great, unseen historical forces, or do our individual choices matter? Tolstoy argues against the great man theory of history, which posits that figures like Napoleon or Tsar Alexander single-handedly shape events. Instead, he suggests that history is the sum of countless individual actions, an unknowable tide moved by the collective will of the people. The nature of war is another central theme, and Tolstoy's depiction is unflinchingly realistic. He strips war of its glamour and romance, showing it not as a chess game of brilliant generals, but as a bloody, confusing, and terrifying mess. Love, in all its forms, permeates the novel. There is the passionate, youthful love between Natasha and Andrei, a romance filled with soaring ideals and tragic misunderstandings. There is the complicated, unfulfilling marriage of Pierre and Helene Kuragina, a union based on wealth and social standing. Ultimately, all these themes converge on a single overarching quest, the search for meaning. Each of the main characters is trying to answer the question of how to live a good and purposeful life. Pierre seeks it in philosophy, philanthropy, and secret societies. Andrei seeks it in military glory and public service. Natasha seeks it in love and family. Leo Tolstoy's writing style in War and Peace is as monumental as the story it tells. His prose is characterized by its clarity, precision, and psychological depth. He is a master of realism, rendering both the opulent interiors of a Moscow mansion and the gruesome chaos of a field hospital with the same meticulous detail. Tolstoy possesses an almost godlike omniscience, moving seamlessly from the inner thoughts of one character to another, from a panoramic view of a battle to the minute anxieties of a single soldier. This technique creates a uniquely comprehensive and multifaceted perspective on events. The novel is punctuated by long philosophical essays, where Tolstoy steps out of the story to address the reader directly, expounding on his theories of history, fate, and power. While some critics have found these digressions disruptive, they are essential to the book's purpose. Tolstoy's genius for characterization is honestly unparalleled. He has an extraordinary ability to capture the contradictory nature of human beings. His characters are not archetypes, they are flawed, complex, and constantly evolving. War and Peace is set against the backdrop of one of the most turbulent periods in European history, the Napoleonic Wars, specifically the years between 1805 and 1812. Tolstoy does not treat this historical setting as mere window dressing. His portrayal of Napoleon is particularly striking. Far from the romantic genius of popular legend, Tolstoy's Napoleon is an absurdly vain, self-important man, convinced of his own greatness, but ultimately a pawn of historical forces he cannot comprehend. The 1812 French invasion of Russia is the novel's dramatic apex. This event was a national trauma and a moment of profound national unity for Russia. Tolstoy captures this on both a grand and an intimate scale. Tolstoy argues that Napoleon was not defeated by the strategic brilliance of the Russian commanders, but by the collective spirit of the Russian people and the harsh reality of the Russian winter. He gives voice to the forgotten, the ordinary soldiers and citizens, whose collective will, he argues, is the true engine of history. The impact of War and Peace on world literature is difficult to overstate. It fundamentally changed what a novel could be. Before Tolstoy, the novel was largely focused on the personal fortunes of a small group of characters. Tolstoy exploded these conventions, creating a form that could encompass an entire society. This new epic novel form influenced generations of writers, from Marcel Proust and James Joyce to Virginia Woolf and Vasily Grossman, all of whom grappled with its legacy in their own work. In Russia, the novel's influence was even more profound. It became a foundational text for the national identity. Tolstoy's portrayal of the 1812 war as a people's victory, a triumph of the collective Russian spirit over a foreign invader, became a powerful and enduring national myth. Even today, War and Peace continues to challenge and inspire. It remains the ultimate benchmark for literary ambition. Its sheer scope and intellectual audacity serve as a reminder of the novel's potential as a form of art. So we arrive at the final question. Does this monumental classic, written a century and a half ago, still matter? After journeying through its pages, from the salons of St. Petersburg to the smouldering ruins of Moscow, the answer from ReviewCat is an unequivocal yes. War and Peace is not a dusty relic to be admired from a distance. It is a vital, breathing work of art that speaks to the core of the human condition. Its concerns are our concerns. Its characters' struggles for love, purpose, and understanding in a world torn apart by conflict and uncertainty mirror our own. The novel's true genius lies in its profound humanity. Despite its epic scale, it is ultimately a story about individuals. It is about Pierre's clumsy search for goodness, André's proud and painful quest for glory, and Natasha's vibrant, all-encompassing love of life. As Pierre realizes near the end, life is everything. Life is God. Everything changes and moves, and that movement is God. And while there is life, there is joy in consciousness of the divine. To love life is to love God. The novel is a powerful affirmation of life itself, for its breathtaking scope, its profound psychological depth, its timeless philosophical questions, and its unwavering celebration of the human spirit. War and Peace earns ReviewCat's highest honor. It is more than just one of the greatest novels ever written. It is a complete literary universe, a companion for life. ReviewCat rating, 5 out of 5 paw prints.